Okay, to start, we're going to take some good quality basmati rice. I have 750 grams of basmati rice and mutton 1 kg, oil, onions 500 grams, mint and coriander, lemon, and some yogurt. Now for these ingredients: garlic, ginger, green chilies, tomatoes, fennel, and cumin. We are going to microwave them and then we are going to blend them. Alternatively, you could saute these ingredients and then blend them as well. So we're going to also add a ladle of oil and we're going to microwave them for about 7 minutes. Now this will save us a lot of time. So usually I start with the onions because that would take about 15 minutes, and simultaneously we can microwave these ingredients and also start with our mutton. Now we're going to go ahead and blend them as well. We can add some water here to blend them. Just make sure you keep an account of how much water you're adding at this stage so that you can accordingly adjust the remaining water. So now for the mutton, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, and half a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm going to now add 2 cups of water. Again, make sure you keep an account of how much water you're adding right now and accordingly adjust the remaining water. So I'm just making sure we're all set to close the pressure cooker, and I am starting the flame, setting it up at medium, and once I see the steam come out, I'm going to put on the weight. So here I've moved that to another burner so that I can start with the onions. So I go in with the oil. And now we add the onions. So I'm not going to add any salt to the onions, which we would normally do, but we want the onions to brown really good here, so we don't want to add any salt. And initially I'm going to cover it for about 5 minutes so that it kind of reduces in size, and then we're just going to let it cook open till it comes to this stage. You see it starts to brown, and at this stage we are going to add some mint leaves and just give it just a few minutes to saute, about 2-3 minutes. So now I'm going to add a teaspoon, actually 2 teaspoons of Kashmiri chili powder and 1 teaspoon of regular chili powder and 2 teaspoons of garam masala. So the Kashmiri chili powder gives us a beautiful color that you can see there, and the regular chili powder is definitely according to your spice level. So now we are going to add some yogurt. This is about a 1/4 cup of yogurt. So we want the yogurt to cook, and we want to see the oil kind of release. This will actually add some amount of sourness to the dish, but it's slightly different from the kind of sourness that you get from tomatoes. So I'm now opening the pressure cooker and I'm going to scoop out the mutton. So I've let it cook for about 8 sounds. Now this would definitely vary according to the type of mutton that you've bought. So we have here the shoulder portion of the goat, and it usually tends to be a lot more tender. So I've let it for 8 sounds, and then I just switched it off and let the pressure release on its own. And by that time, the onions were sauteed and it was time for us to add it in here. So we want all the spices to coat the mutton. So once we are done adding the mutton, we are going to add the salt. So the total amount of salt, it's going to take about 5 teaspoons of salt here. We already added 1 teaspoon of salt for the mutton, and now we are going to add 5 more teaspoons. That would be for the rice. So I'm using a proper measurement teaspoon. So if you have that, I would highly recommend that you follow the measurements. And you could always go 1 teaspoon less, and finally you could just give it a little taste and see if you're fine with it, or you want to add 1 more. So it's 1 less, 1 more. You could always adjust for your taste. And now I'm adding all the blended ingredients from that we blended earlier. So there it goes, and just give it a gentle stir. We don't want the mutton to break. And as you can see, it's really well cooked. Now I'm going to add the water. So I added about 2 cups of water, and I'm kind of expecting it to be about 2 or maybe 2.5 cups, but that's okay. So you could just take it as 2 cups of water. Now we're going to add the remaining water. So take into account the amount of water that we have already added. So a total of about 1,288 grams of water. So now for the rice, I'm going to drain the water from the rice and microwave it for about 2 minutes. Now this is equivalent to frying the rice with some little oil. This will ensure that the rice does not stick to each other. So, and this is just an easier alternative. You could just microwave it. You could always add a cube of butter or a teaspoon of ghee while you microwave it, but I have not done that here. So we just go ahead and add the rice to our boiling sauce. And we just want to give it gentle stir, so they just don't get clumped up at the bottom. So now I'm squeezing half a lime here. You could always check the sourness at this point. Just give it a taste. Sometimes the tomatoes that we use may be sour enough, and there might not be any need for some lime here. So now we're going to cover it, and we're going to cook it in medium flame for 10 minutes here. And now I have not switched off the flame. I've just reduced the flame. I open it up and I give it a stir. You just want to spread the liquid evenly. And we are going to cover it back again, and we are going to keep the flame at simmer, and we are going to put it cover it again, and it's called the dum process, and we're going to leave it again for about 10 minutes. This will make sure that the grains become nice and soft, but they will continue to hold the shape because there's not much of water left now. And I'm also adding a heat distributor plate at the bottom, so this will ensure that that the rices don't catch at the bottom, they don't burn at the bottom. So as you can see, I've kept it at simmer, and we're going to leave it for 10 minutes. Now 10 minutes is done, and I have switched off the flame, and there it is. So just as how the ratio of water to rice is important for the consistency of rice, equally important is the amount of oil that you add to this rice.